Hi, everyone. We're going to be getting started in just a minute. My name is Jeffrey, your host for today's webinar, and we have Pavel today here with us speaking, and we're going to be getting started in just a little bit. I'm going to go off camera as I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties and want to make sure that my video is not lagging that behind as well. We're going to get started in just a moment. All right, everyone. We are 2 minutes past the hour. We're going to get started. My name is Jeffrey Brown, your host from Salesy, and I'm in a second going to pass it over to Pavel Pola, our amazing speaker for today, and very excited to have him as well. Again, my name is Jeffrey, here with Salesy as your webinar host. I'm going to go off camera so I don't lag the webinar behind, but we're going to go ahead and get started and get kicked off. And as you're in the webinar room today, make sure you're introducing yourself, letting us know who you are and where you're from as well. So Leas Warren from Rio de Janeiro, Nila from Slovenia. So let us know where you're from, your business name, and what you're most excited about as well today. And we're gonna let that go for a few more seconds, and then we're gonna get this webinar kicked off today and have our fabulous speaker, Pavel, speak with us today. I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera, and we're gonna go ahead and get this fabulous webinar kicked off.
Okay. So hello everybody, and thanks Salesy and all those guys and ladies behind for having me. Today I'd like to talk about the unlocking the power of email marketing. And at the very first, I would like to speak about a little bit why is email marketing so interesting to me, because it's a very personal channel. Even though you send millions of emails, the email basically lands in the recipient inbox, and it could be really personal. At the same time, it's email marketing produces a lot of data, so you can measure a lot of things and get a lot of insights from the data. And today we will speak about how to utilize those data to get even more results and better results. Also, email marketing is a retention channel, so it's a good way for building a long-term relationship with the customer. And amongst all the online channels, it has a highest return on investment. And when we are talking about numbers, the average ROI, return on investment, for email marketing is 42 to 1. So one invested euro would generate 42 euros if done properly. And we will talk today more deeply about it. One thing to mention is that if you want to really do email marketing properly, you have to climb some mountain. The first barriers are quite high, so it's not for everybody. Definitely, you need to involve a lot of professions to make email marketing working at its best, like strategists. You need to involve lawyers. You have to have some people who have ideas. Then you have to copyright the message and design the template and code the template in HTML and connect all the sources of data to be as much personalized and automate the things together, test it and analyze it and all those things. So there's really a lot of professions to involve. You can definitely outsource some of the professions to some agencies like our agency. But if you are, let's say, bigger company, you then need to have your own employees, your own people that would do the things that you have to do. A lot of companies are asking, or people are asking, if there is some magical formula for success in email marketing. And I have to say it is one, right? And it is to deliver, and with the emphasis of delivering the right message to the right customer at the right time with the right content so they can take the right action, right? So that's the magical formula, and I hope you would formulate it the same way. Uh, and how to do this? It's really a matter of a lot of components. You have to have some strategy, some plan how to talk with your customers. You definitely need to have clean data that would support your automation or segmentation, because when you do not have clean data, all those things are pretty hard. Like, you cannot do proper segmentation if you do not have clean data for, let's say, locality or something like that. And personalization is the same issue. So data is the key for all those things to work properly. You definitely have to have a right tool set, right, to combine different tools for different purposes, and it also is a key and or important part of the success. And nothing, there's a saying like Rome wasn't built in a day. So the same is for successful email marketing. You are learning by doing. So you are continuously improving your results based upon the results of the previous campaigns. You learn from A/B tests. You learn from successful or unsuccessful campaigns, etc. So it's a really continuous process. This whole email marketing, and definitely, and this is why are we here today, is to get some ideas or inspiration. What could you try immediately, or what could be done better? And I've prepared for you three inspirations or ideas you could implement right away. And the first inspiration is about getting as much customers as possible, because one of the key things of successful email marketing program is to grow the database, to grow the customers that you have in your system. And typically, when we see what our customers do, there are two biggest issues. One of is that there are somehow collecting the email addresses without the legal permission. So they are somehow playing the dark side of the world, and I'm saying that they are just waiting for the fine, and it's not the right way how to do it, right? On the other hand, there are typical situations where the people are so scared about the fines that could be somehow issued to them, that they rather do not collect as many email addresses as they could. So that's the opposite of the problem, and I will show you how to do it properly, legally, and get the maximum input. The other issue is that they are not using the proper validators, because when we see how many typos the users make while entering their email addresses, like switching letters and mismatching domains, etc. And when you are not using proper validators in the moment that when the customer is entering their email address, then again you are losing some potential, and it could be even 15%, for example. We've seen that big number of typos, especially on mobile. It's easy to make a typo when you have just a small keyboard on your mobile. And the last thing is hitting spam traps, and I will get to this later. So And I have to say that the most email addresses are basically collecting in e-commerce websites. And when we are speaking about e-commerce, we are typically speaking about two types of lawfulness of processing. And I am speaking about GDPR. I'm pretty sure you are familiar with it. There are many different countries with their own specific laws that governs, for example, privacy. But in Europe, we are mainly speaking about GDPR. And the Article 6 of the GDPR allows multiple types of processing of personal data. But for the e-commerce, there are mainly two which are interesting for us. And the first is consent. Consent is made prior to the processing. So somebody sign up for your website, for example, register themselves prior to the order, for example, etc., etc. So the consent is made like voluntarily, sorry, hard word, prior to, for example, making a purchase, right? The second big type of processing is based on legitimate interest, and from our observations, this is the biggest source of email addresses in your database. But a lot of companies doesn't use this type of processing because they are somehow afraid of it. It has some legal implications. We will discuss them. But if you want to really get as much contacts in your database as possible, then you should cover both those types of lawfulness of processing. And the legitimate interest is based on the order, right? So you have to order something, and then you can use this contact for your marketing purposes. And this is basically done during the checkout process. This type of selection, what the customer which type of content will you get from the customer. And the first one is that they want just a simple marketing based on my purchase, and this one is the legitimate interest based upon legitimate interest. And this could be the default option because legitimate interest doesn't require special consent. It's like default or included within the purchase. So it could be pre-selected, and this is the way how you could get as much context as possible, because a lot of people will just leave it as it is. You have to follow some guidelines based on the legal, so you have to only use simple segmentation based on the previous purchase. You cannot do profiling, you cannot transfer the data to the third parties, etc. But you could do it definitely. The other option is the consent, and the consent must be voluntarily. So the client or the customer have to click it manually, and it says that it's fully personalized. And behind those links, there could be a better explanation. What does it mean simple marketing, and what does it mean fully personalized? But this is the full consent. It must be voluntarily. And then you can use all that power of email marketing, including profiling and global segmentation or some complex segmentation and full personalization, right? And the last option is I don't want any marketing at all. It's a mandatory requirement if you are working with legitimate interest, because every customer has a right to refuse any marketing at all prior to even sending them or receiving the very first message based on, for example, legitimate interest. So if you provide the checkout process with this, something looking similarly to this, then you would get the full potential of your of the contacts in your database. And just be aware about the spam traps. And again, I would emphasize to use the proper validator of email addresses, and when possible, use double opt-in for confirmation of the email addresses, because we can see a lot of spam traps. So there are somehow harmful email addresses that you really don't want to collect in your database. So especially for legitimate interest, which doesn't require those double opt-ins by law, but I would definitely recommend implementing double opt-ins as well for transactional emails or for contacts that are based on legitimate interest, just to avoid any reputation issues and deliverability issues. So that's my recommendation. The second inspiration is about onboarding your customers, and I would just step at the side for a little bit, just to explain how we use RFM for segmenting customers. And RFM stands for recency, frequency, monetary. It's one of the basic segmentation that is done by transactions, and those RFM means R means recency. So we segment customers based on their last purchase. And typically there are 5 segments from something long ago, and every e-commerce e-shop would have different like ranges or just now. The F stands for frequency. So we segment customers based on how many purchases did they have. And the last is monetary. How much did the customer spend? And every single like slice of that cube give us some information about that customers, and we can do it typically in 4 different ways. Basically, the very first is when we want to target new customers who purchased just recently and have low frequency and definitely low spend. We somehow target them with the welcome series. Then we have typically some active customers that purchase just recently, shop with us regularly, so they have high frequency and definitely high spend. So monetary value is also big. So we target them with some personalized or automated campaigns. The third large group is so-called churn. That those are customers that were previously active but didn't buy for a while. So they have quite high frequency, quite high monetary value, but their recency is a long time ago, for example. And we definitely want those customers back because they were previously active. So we send them some reactivation campaigns, and we will speak about it in a minute. And the last big group of those segments are so-called dead customers who made just a few purchases a long time ago. So they are probably, they should probably not be in your database. So you have to somehow probably delete them. There's not a big chance to reactivate them. And when we're speaking, for example, about the frequency, this is the chart from our real customer. It's not a made up chart from some fake numbers. And this is a slice by the frequency. So this slice says that almost 90% of customers have made just the first purchase and never returned back. And when you see this type of chart, you are like scratching your head and asking your question, how this business could be even profitable? Because when we ask the customer, what is your cost of acquisition of those first customers, of those 90% of customers, and typically in the e-commerce, we are speaking about 35 to 43 euros for acquiring one customer. And then we ask, what is your typical margin of the first order they make? Is it bigger than those 35 to 43 euros or not? And if not, what does it mean that you have 90% of customers who you somehow convinced using all your money for the first acquisition and you didn't, what did you do that they didn't return to you? So then we are definitely asking how to make this better. And when I see good examples of how it should work, we see completely opposite ratio. So typically, again, with the customers that we are working with, typically we aim to have one-time buyers as, for example, 20% of the database, and 80% of database should become repetitive customers. So by at least twice, or better, more. It's obvious. So when we see something like that, we are definitely recommending to onboard the customer, so they have somehow to convince the 90% of the database to become regular shoppers. So uh, we recommend to introduce some welcome series or onboarding series, like introduce your brand. You know what the customer purchased, so you can definitely segment or personalize the email based on their previous purchase. So be as personalized as possible. You can use something from the very first purchase to convince them to purchase again, like some post-purchase email series, or replenishment emails when something is uh, something could deplete. So if they want to buy again, then you can definitely use it in the series, right? So you can somehow incentivize the second purchase, or you can definitely send some survey if if the satisfaction of the customer was that high or low. Maybe you did nothing wrong with the email, but the quality of the product or the service was that bad that nobody wanted to return back to you. And that's again something you have to find out. And don't just stop within one email. So we know, and again from our experience, you have to repeat the campaigns on, and be somehow persuasive and trustworthy and authentic, and convince your customers to return to you. And the last example I would like to share with you is the churn campaign, how to win back lost customers. And again, it's based on the RFM segmentation that I've shown you previously. And this case was done with Rossmann, Czech Republic. It's a drugstore which has a loyalty club and have more than 1 million registered club members, and those members have a mobile application with all those benefits, like the membership card, the mobile only e-commerce. There is a special content for club members, there are coupons for club members, etc. And also they have more than 170 retail stores, and the customers just swipe their card in their store, so we can track their purchases. And we definitely try to track all the customers' behavior. So we track the customers on the website. What products are they looking at? If they saw a leaflet, for example, we definitely track their activity in email, also in the app, so we know what types of pages or products do they see in the app. And definitely, or finally, we track their purchases in store. So we try to build something like the 360 view of the customer, so we can target them with personalized campaigns. And with that RFM analysis, we identified customers who were previously active and spent a lot of money, and for a long time they didn't come back to you, to the store. And we try to figure out how to motivate them, or how to persuade them that it's good to come back to the store. And the idea behind that was that Rossmann produces the leaflet with huge discounts. Some discounts, as you could see, are like 40, 50, maybe 60% off, or one plus one free, or something like that. So every 14 days they produce this leaflet, and it's produced in the physical leaflet as well, also in the PDF or Publitas version on the website. And in the leaflet, in the physical form, it has 16 plus pages. It has 1,300 discounted products, and the discounts are really huge. But we saw that when they see only the title page of the leaflet, it's not interested for everybody. So the main goal was how to find products that we would promote to the people and convince them to buy it, right? And the idea was that we need to make the email as personalized as possible, ideally to promote the product in the subject line. So let's say that if you know, for example, some Nivea shampoo, and you know the price, you know the brand, you know how it smells or how good it is. When we introduce you with the product you know in the subject line, then there is a connection, and you will see, oh, this is something I know. It's hugely discounted, so it should be interested for me, right? So one of the second thing, sorry, was that one campaign is not enough. So we structured the campaign in 3 steps. The first step is just to introduce the personal offer to the customer. And from the RFM analysis, we typically see that those active customers will return once in 2 or 3 weeks. So when they somehow didn't purchase for the last 60 days, we consider them like candidates for the churn campaign, because it's 2.5 times the normal activity of that customer. The second email, which firstly introduced some discount for one product, is sent to those who didn't purchase for the last 90 days. So it's 3 months after the last purchase. And the third email with 20% discount for the whole purchase is sent to the customer who didn't purchase for the last 120 days. So it's 4 months from their last purchase. So let's dig a little bit deeper into how the first email looks like. So the idea was, again, we have 1,300 discounted products, and we want to promote them in the subject line. So on the left side, you can see all the discounted products. And on the right side, the marketing people should define the subject line for all of the products, right? And so it could be as precise or as personalized as possible. But definitely it would be quite tedious to make 1,300 subject lines, right? So they somehow group it by similarity of the brand, of the type of the goods, or something, or the various colors or shapes or sizes or fragrances, etc. So from these 1,300 products, they make roughly 22 subject lines looking like this. So minus 40% on shower gels, minus 50 on washing powders or something like that. So it's not that bad. It's like making 20 plus subject lines and like copying across all the products. So not that's tedious. So the next thing is how to make the match between the product and the customer behavior. So we use something like AI machine, and this AI machine receives inputs from the purchase history of the customer. They read product descriptions to match similar products based on, for example, their contents or fragrances or something. They definitely need to know which products are discounted. And for matching similar customers, we use their age and gender, nothing more. And we somehow put all these inputs into some AI magic black box. And this typically generates for us 2 lists of recommendations. One list is based on the previous purchases of that customer, and the second one is made on the on the purchases that bought the other customer that are somehow similar to me, but I didn't buy it. So it could be something like, hey, if you know this, you should definitely get this one. And we use this data to the personalized email. And again, as I said, we use the subject line, and this is the only thing that is personalized in the body of the email, and the text is taken from the subject line. So the text is the same, and it's only the part of the first sentence. The rest of the email is not personalized at all. It's so-called static. The only thing which differs is the validity of the leaflet, and the image definitely links to the Publita's version of the digital leaflet. And when we first saw the results of that campaign, we were really blown out, because we use a tool that segment customers based on their engagement. So the engagement score goes from 0 to 5, while 5 means the best and 0 means the worst. So when we and the share shows how many contacts are in that group of engagement. So when we saw the results, we have the more than 77% of the database was of the least engaged. So 0 to 1 engagement, it means almost nothing. And when we saw the results within those segments, it was like, oh, it's not possible. And I will show you later. Or this is the we then conducted a control group testing, because those results were really great. So we split the database to half and half, 50-50, and the first group of people received just the generic announcement of the leaflet. So something like, hey, there's a new leaflet. Maybe there were some hero products announced, but every single people received the same message. The second group was personalized by that AI machine, as I've told you. And so again, you can see the distribution about amongst the engagement levels. We can see it's not the same, but the shape of the curve, like 52 to 51, 22 to 26, 4 or almost 5 to 554, it's almost the same, not exactly the same, but almost. But when you see the differences in open rates, it's huge, and it goes really bigger and bigger every single engagement level. So when we started at 5, the difference is only 10% or something, but when we go down to the 0, it's almost 1900%. So it's really huge. You could see that the control group opened it in 1.67%, and the personalized subject line has been opened in 32% of the cases. So it's great, right? But we didn't stop there. As I've said, we use 2 types of personalization. The first, or recommendation, the first is based on my previous purchases, and the second is what other people usually buy. And every single product in those recommendations has something like probability that it would be chosen by me in the next purchase. So we can then use this type of recommendation also below the image in the email, and we recommend some 3 products. And again, we did a control group test. The first group or part of the group received manually picked products from the marketing manager, and the second half of the group received the AI calculated recommendations based on my previous purchases. And we got 2 times better click-through rate on the AI recommended product. So again, that's great. But again, there are 2 more slides. And this is how the campaigns, the second and third campaign looks like. And those are just the static campaigns introducing the coupons. So this is nothing personal, just a coupon for a product. And again, it has quite a big open rate. And the third email introduces 20% discount coupon for the whole purchase. And again, it has quite a big open rate as well. So we can see that the personalization in the terms of subject line really works. But we also track purchases. If you know that open rate is not a really solid metric, it could be somehow flawed. So we track also purchases after we send those campaigns. And the validity of the leaflet is 14 days. The validity of coupons is again 14 days. So we evaluate the campaigns by 14 days chunks. When we send the first email, within the first 14 days, almost 40% go back to the store of the customers. 16% buys after the 14 days. And to those who didn't purchase for the 30 days, we send the second email with the first discount voucher. And again, 14 days after sending this email, almost 29% goes to the store. Then 17% after the coupon is not valid, unfortunately, and 53% doesn't buy at all. And to those people, we send the third email with the second discount voucher. And again, you can see that these numbers are declining. This is kind of obvious. But when we would stop at the first email, we would lose definitely all those customers. So in total, we convinced almost 84% of customers that have been sent these churn campaigns to go back to store and come back again. And I think it's pretty good results, right? So, and that were my three examples. And the last, I would like to present some bonus. We prepared a self-assessment checklist. And when I said that at the very beginning that there are a lot of professions of people that are somehow involved in proper email marketing, we also prepared the checklist, which covers 15 areas from deliverability, copywriting, design, HTML code, GDPR issues, etc., etc. So you can download this self-assessment checklist right from the file section here at the webinar using this QR code that is presented here, or it would be sent to you after the webinar. And you can use this checklist for your self-assessment. So you can go one by one. There's more than 140 different topics covered. So don't be afraid, but you can do it by your own. And definitely there was one special offer for you as you're here watching this webinar. We can provide you with in-depth audit of your email marketing. We will use the same checklist basically because this checklist we made for ourselves. So we will cover all these areas in that were covered in the self-assessment checklist, but we will provide you with the in-depth report of our own recommendations based on our experience. So you will get not only the state of if you're passed or not passed, but what to do with it. And as well, we will arrange a call with you, and we can discuss it with our consultants to get more insights and definitely get better results. And you can see the price here. There's a discount specially for you. It's valid only until the end of May. So if you're somehow interested, just arrange a meeting with us and we can discuss it further. And I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Please get in touch with me either on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or there's a email address and cell phone for me. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them here, or just reach me later on. So Jeffrey, do we have any questions? Oh, I don't hear you. You're muted. Still cannot hear you. Am I alone who doesn't hear Jeffrey, or? leave us. Let us know in the chat if you can hear him speaking or me only. Or do you hear me? Hello, is anybody there? Please leave us in chat some note. Okay, so I can go through the Q&A one by one, right? And we will see. So questions from Arnella. So if I understood well, if only if the existing customer opted in to receive marketing emails, we can send him personalized emails too. Otherwise, no. Right? Well, that's a good question. It's kind of a gray zone, right? It's not that specified. GDPR definitely states that profiling is not included in the default like legitimate interest, right? So whenever you want to use some more advanced techniques for personalization or segmentation, combine different sources, use some predictive analysis, etc., maybe AI, or put the data to the third party, or even somehow outside European Union, then you definitely need to have a consent from the customer, right? So for legitimate interest, you can have simple segmentation, simple personalization, but nothing so complicated. So if it's based on the previous purchase, you can definitely use this information in subsequent emails. But for example, I wouldn't recommend using the whole history of the customer. So you should look only to the last purchase, for example. But again, it could differ country by country or even company by company. So I would definitely recommend discussing this with your lawyers or some special agencies that, for example, focus on markets you are working on. I hope I answered the question. If not, please just leave me a note. Another question is from Geoffrey. How do you track all that information? Do you use a software or something? Well, there are definitely many different types of tracking. Some tracking is definitely built in directly in the emailing tool. I hope Celsi is offering the same functionality. So a lot of emailing tools do the tracking. In purchases, we track the customers based on the membership card. So they swipe their card in the POS terminal, so we can somehow connect the purchase with their card, and then it's synchronized in some backend systems. So we have one place where all the transactions, all the email tracking data goes. And also we track the website and mobile application activity, which is basically done via Google Analytics or Firebase Analytics. So there, or Google Analytics 4. For this case, we use BigQuery. It's a tool directly from Google. And the benefit of this is that it's directly connected to Google Analytics 4. So when you use Firebase Analytics or Google Analytics 4, you can immediately use BigQuery data to provide those kind of segmentation that I was shown to you. Okay. Again, question from Arnella. The fact is that we have database of emails of our customers which were provided for sending them the confirmation of booked service. But we didn't have till now that option to opt in. Company is based on Turkey. Okay, sorry, I do not have Turkish law. I would have to find out. And This is maybe the question for some kind of personalized consultation, because it could have a lot of different outcomes out of it. So I would definitely recommend to you, like, contact me and we can look at the process, how the wording on the registration page is done. How do you, for example, if you have some terms of conditions, what does it mean to book a service, and what type of communication do you want to send to your customers after the confirmation, for example. So I wouldn't generalize here. So if you don't mind, just reach me out and we can discuss it in more detail. Okay. So next question. How often do you send them emails? Maybe I would need more information. Which part do you mean? But if we are talking about the churn, it's 30, 90, and 120 days. So it's 3 times. If you are asking about anything else, please be more specific, because I don't understand it. Again, question from Arnella. With which tools do you track their behavior? I already spoke about that. It's basically Google Analytics for Firebase Analytics for mobile application. They are using Milkit, which is something like Selzy, but from Czech Republic. And their purchases are basically tracking on the POS side. So this is a server-to-server integration. Next question is from Paula. You say don't stop on just one email. I don't want to bug people with too many emails, but I also want to keep them interested. How often should I be sending messages to my subscribers? It's a good question, really, and I would say it depends. If you are sending something that is relevant to the customer, they definitely won't bother if they receive as much communication as is interesting for them. So we have definitely cases where we can send many times in a week and it still doesn't bother the customers. And we have the cases when sending twice a month will bother the customer, or maybe even once a month. It really depends on the content. So if you try to find what is really interesting for the customer, not for you as a marketer, but for the customer, then if it's interesting for them, then they would definitely not bother. But you have to test it. This case I just presented is we have developed it for a year. It's been in or maybe a year and a half right now. It was started last January. So and it went through different stages for different A/B tests. We definitely tested a lot what works and what's not working. So you have to test as well. So look at the numbers. If they are quite high, as I presented here, like 15+% in open rates in the third campaign is quite high still for that churn type of campaign. But when you go below 10, I would definitely recommend stopping the email. Again, if you have big unsubscribe rates, if you have big spam complaint rates, then again, it's a signal for you to stop sending those emails. So test it, evaluate it, and let us know if you need more in-depth consultation from us, for example. Question from Emily. How do you figure out what kind of content to send to different groups of people on your email list? Well, it's again good question. We typically look at what they are interested of. And basically you can have multiple sources of this information. You can use your email campaigns. So what type of campaigns do they open or do they click on? This is somehow signaling that these people are interested in those type of campaigns. The other quite useful source for information is your website. So what pages are interesting for the customers on your website? And again, no customer, I haven't seen a lot of customers who is interested in every page on your website. So again, you can segment them. For example, when you have categories of products or categories of pages, then you would definitely use those categories for the basic segmentation of the interest of the customer. And the last but not least source of information is what they purchase from you. What brand are they interested in? For example, Apple versus Android. What type of device they are using when they access your website or email marketing campaigns. What location are there? There are definitely a lot of different types of information you can use for segmentation, and I would recommend again testing and evaluating what works and what doesn't work for you. And another question from Arnella. If understand well, even if the company is based outside of the EU, it has to follow GDPR. Yes, at least they have customers in EU, which is basically every European nation. If they provide us an email, should we have all the three checkout options for marketing options? In many times came across I many times came across when I had just one option if I wanted to receive an email. I'm so confused about this. And yes, and you are not alone. Even big brands are confused about this, and that's why I introduce it as one of the inspiration. So I would say, and again, these are different types of law all around the world, and this field is changing a lot. So there are big movements in terms of privacy all around the world. So please consult this prior to making any changes with your local lawyer or the market you are working on. But usually for European Union and for GDPR, this could be the right case. And again, not many people do it this way, but we believe this is the best way how to do it. And I don't. Oh, we have more. A question from Abel. Can you share some examples of emailing tools you think work great? Well, again, it's a great question again. It depends on many different factors, right? Because there's no one golden or silver bullet that works for everybody. It depends on size of your business, on size of your database, on market you are targeting to, because especially when we are speaking about some American tools, many of them doesn't take care about the differences between countries, and the Europe is quite fragmented in terms of inbox providers. So in every country there's a major provider which is not Google, which is not Microsoft. We have, for example, in Czech Republic there is a Seznam CZ, which has more than 60 to 70% of market share. So when you want to deliver properly in the Czech Republic, you have to definitely deal with them in terms of reputation and proper settings for deliverability. And every single country is somehow different. So in Poland we have WPPL, in Germany we have one-on-ones, in Romania it's Yahoo, etc., etc. So this is again some criteria that have been met, that should have been met when you are selecting the tool, and as well it also depends on which channels do you want to integrate, for example, or which types of other systems should be somehow integrated with the emailing tool. So there are definitely tons of options and also tons of agencies that are somehow familiar with email marketing tools that you use. So maybe we can, again, if you're more interested in this, we can get in some private chat around that. We have definitely experience with dozens of them, and we have helped many companies migrate from their previous email marketing tools to something that we recommended to them. So if you are interested, just reach me out and we can discuss this in more detail. So I don't see any new question here. Maybe I can look in the chat if it's something new. Hi. Thanks a lot for all the answers. But Jeffrey is not here, maybe, or is he? I will stop my presentation just so I can see. Oh well, it looks like I'm the only one here. So if you don't have any questions, we are up to 3 minutes left, so it's quite on time. So if you don't have any questions, I would definitely like to thank you all again for your participating. And if you are anyhow interested in the offer or in the checklist or anything from me, just again, Geoffrey, nice to have you back.
Yes, just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. We really do appreciate it. And thank you, Pavel, for all your amazing answers in today's webinar as well. It was great. I learned a lot, and I hope you all learned a lot from those questions and answers as well today. So I want to say a huge thank you to Pavel and also everyone that attended our webinar today. So thank you so much. And again, Pavel had his information up. We also put the link out as well as the QR code. Make sure you have that. Make sure you use that checklist as well. And again, everyone, we thank you so much. Give some love to Pavel in the chat box. Thank you so much for the amazing webinar. Thank you for answering those questions. We do appreciate you. We do appreciate everyone here attending today. Have a great Wednesday and have a great rest of your week, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care. Bye-bye.